Hey, good morning, guys. It is July 9th, and Chambers is still in Joshua chapter 24. Joshua is challenging the people as they cross into the promised land. And it's funny because you think it seems as if Joshua's giving them a hard time, um, and maybe asking more of them than is reasonable. But you have to understand that these are the people that um, the same people group anyway. This is 40 years later, but God delivered with a mighty hand from the hand of the Egyptians. He brought them out victorious and wealthy, and then they grumbled and complained. They acted like slaves the entire 40 years through the wilderness. They had the mentality of a slave, and they grumbled and complained and wanted to turn back. And they served. Well, they didn't like the idea of following this scary God that they're confronted with on Mount Moriah, and so all these things that over the last 40 years have shown to be less than faithful, if you will, less than trusting. Um, Joshua is now to the point where he's like, listen, um, we have to set all this behind us. We're going into the promised land that he gave Abraham. We're the descendants of Abraham, and this is our promised land. This is where God is planting us. Um, and so he's a little bit of a devil's advocate here in this verse today, in a way that seems a little harsh, but you have to understand, like I said, context and history. And because they say, and he's just said, as for me and my house will serve the Lord. It says, oh yes, far be it from us to forsake the Lord to serve other gods. It was the Lord our God himself who brought us out. And granted, I think they're sincere. Joshua maybe even thinks they're sincere, but he also knows the heart of man. And Joshua says here in verse 19 of 24, says, you are not able to serve the Lord. Again, like devil's advocate, like you just said, oh sure, we'll do it too. He said, as for me and my house, we'll serve the Lord. They said, yep, us too, sign us up. And then he says, you're not able to serve the Lord. He is a holy God. He's a jealous God. And that is one of the adjectives of God that some people don't like, but it's one of the most profound ones. He is a jealous God. He does not share his glory with anyone. He does not share his worship with any other God. He will not forgive your rebellion and your sins. If you forsake the Lord and serve foreign gods, he will turn and bring disaster on you and make an end of you after he's been good to you. But the people said to Joshua, no, we will serve the Lord. And to the people's credit, I guess, they were sincere. And again, like yesterday I said, the distance between the time where they say, yes, we'll serve the Lord, and the time where they actually start forsaking him may seem shorter to us than it actually was, because of the pages of our Bible not accurately reflecting the time frame between. And obviously these are individuals too. Some individuals did. Some individuals like Joshua were faithful, and some individuals were not. We see as they go into Jericho, and then after Jericho they fight the Battle of Ai, and we see Achan. Achan's not faithful. Achan already has decided that he's going to do something other than what he's been commanded to do. So Joshua takes this, you're not able to serve the Lord, and he basically breaks it down a little bit. Sorry, Joshua. Did I say Joshua? Chambers. Chambers breaks it down a little bit and says, this is the issue that we sometimes are presented with as we try to serve. Are you relying on yourself, Chambers says, in any particular, in this new proposition which God has put before you, which is to rely completely and totally on him instead of any reliance on anything else, ourselves, other gods, nature, anything, our own wisdom. And so Chambers is basically saying this idea of just pushing all of our dependence on God and say, listen, as for me and my house, as for me and this house, I'll serve the Lord. Down a little further, Chambers says, the one who has something to trust in is the last one to come anywhere near saying, I will serve the Lord. When we think that we have something else that we can trust in, this is by the way, very convicting, but thinking I can trust in my own wit, my own personality, my own wisdom, my own industriousness, my own fortitude. Just get me sick for a couple days, and you'll see. I am so dependent on the health He puts in my body. I'm sick for a few days, forget it. I can't do anything. I'm so dependent on what God gives, and so we have to understand that if we put our trust in anything else, we're in trouble. And if we really believe God, he says here at the end, that really believe that God meant what he said, what should we be like? Dare I really let God be to me all that he says he will be? And so, as many times before, Chambers is just challenging us to submit completely. So that's my call today, to submit and say, Lord, as for me and my house, we'll serve the Lord. You guys have an awesome day.